letting it go. Boom. So,
Yo.
for everyone who is joining us after this live broadcast, welcome. We are talking about sexual health with Artheena from Heart of, is it Milele?
It's Milele, and it's Swahili
Milele.
for eternity. Yeah, so Heart of Eternity.
Okay, so tonight we're going to be discussing sexual health and we are going to go deeper into the topic as far as dating and making sure that you are of spiritual health and mental health as well as you're going about your sexual explorations. So, whether you are catching this on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, welcome. And I'm going to open the floor to Arthena just so we can learn a little bit more about you and your business.
Yeah, so I appreciate you for having me on this conversation tonight. My brand is called Heart of Milele, and it's a spiritual lifestyle brand that is just normalizing the human experience, helping people to come into self-awareness and emotional intelligence and connect back into the body, and equipping people with the tools to connect with people around them. Because like connectivity is a human thing that people don't really realize that we need it outside of our romantic relationships or not. Like we need intimacy. So that's what the brand is all about. And I've been kind of like studying tantra and divine feminism and sacred masculine for going on 4 years now. And it's been a beautiful healing journey for me, and it's like a pleasure to be able to share like these tools and practices with other people, especially the Black people, right?
So, as we get into the topic of sexual health, how important is intimacy when we're talking about our sexual health?
Yo, like intimacy is the missing link. Um, I swear to God, it is, and not just like with other people, like the intimacy that we have with ourselves. So everything that I talk about is always going to be bringing it roundabout back to ourselves. So I really believe that intimacy is the missing link between feeling something on a surface level and it really dropping down into your soul. You know what I mean?
Agreed. So, I wholeheartedly agree it's the missing link. And I think the key to it is vulnerability. I feel like that is the biggest obstacle and hurdle that most of us have with achieving the intimacy that we want with ourselves and with other people. And when it comes to our sexuality and sensuality, what are some different blockages that you see within your clients or just in the collective in general when it comes to vulnerability?
Okay, so you hit it on the nail, head on the nail. So the vulnerability is the key, right? But beyond the vulnerability is the transparency. And that's where we have like that truth element where people are not honest with themselves, which is preventing them from having these like in-depth relationships like they really want, because ain't nobody out here like really being honest with themselves. And for damn sure ain't telling, the next person what's true for them. So like if you're not going to speak your own truth, there's no way for you to advance. There's no way for you to go any deeper than where you are right now, because we can't get to the root of the issue if you're not going to have that level of transparency. And so people are probably like, okay, well, what's the difference between honest and transparent? Honest is like, okay, I'm going to present the necessary information to you as I see fit. Transparency goes a little bit further and say, I'm gonna also tell the whole story that is beneath the surface. Okay, like I'm gonna tell you the things that is not being seen, that shadow work. Like even though this is how things are perceived on the outside, this is what's actually working internally and behind the scenes. So if you don't have that level of transparency with yourself, then what? How do you? Who? What are you gonna do? Like what are
So
you gonna do?
I wholeheartedly agree. And I was talking to a friend not too long ago, and we were discussing basically people not having acceptance or taking accountability because they don't want to take that look at themselves. They don't want to do that shadow work and really you know, confront their demons.
Understandably so. And the reason being is because, and I was thinking about this earlier, it's two things, is that we're ashamed because people, we're socialized to believe that things are supposed to go a certain way. They're supposed to look a certain way. You're supposed to feel a certain way. Certain things are not supposed to matter. So there's that portion of it. But then not only are we shamed in a sense, it's like we really don't have a safe space to even
Mm.
like express ourselves. There's so much judgment, right? Everybody is God and everybody is perfect and don't nobody have no issues. Ain't nobody struggling. Me, I am though. So you could imagine, me having this really precious thing that I'm holding close that's really fragile inside, and then go into an atmosphere where everybody pretending like this ain't their truth too. So now I ain't gonna say nothing. I'm gonna just fake the funk with everybody else. And I know that you guys, you done been to a church, you done heard some old lady say, fake it till you make it. Please don't do that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Aspire to what it is that you want to be. You know what I'm saying? Affirm yourself, but also keep it real. You know what I'm saying? If you live in the hood, do not act like you on MTV Homes. Like that's that's and you trick yourself out of your position when you're not real with yourself where you are right now.
So, how do we create more safe spaces for people to start to let go of that guilt and that shame, especially when it comes around to sexuality and sensuality?
I know y'all ain't gonna want to hear this, but I've been thinking once every we talked about it yesterday. I was like,
Yeah.
people ain't gonna want to hear this, but like if you want to really get to the benefit of owning your sexuality, if you really want to get to that orgasmic state of being, where you're just able to receive and experience pleasure on command, you got to spend some time by yourself.
That's the part they don't want to hear.
To be honest with you, it's no way around that. There's no way around it. You really gotta get comfortable in your own solitude because like there's just so many people who have imprinted themselves on us and so many people that we just hold to such high esteem that we start to like take on, pieces of them. So it's really hard to like when you say you're gonna go into shadow work or whatever, to say who you are, what it is that you're gonna do, or what it is that you think and feel, because you got everybody else's stuff going on inside of you. You don't even think your own thoughts. You don't know what your own thoughts are because you've been conditioned by your surroundings. So, hey, there ain't no, I don't have no secret about it. You got to go ahead and spend some time by yourself. And what that does is it gives you an opportunity to see how you respond to certain things, right? How you respond to certain triggers. It gives you an opportunity to not have no space to react and, expel that energy in a low vibrational way. You have to sit with it and observe it and dissect it and find the root of it and then really sit at the root and water it and heal it and get over it, right? And let that wound heal. And you ain't gonna do that in a room full of people all up in your face all the time. You're not.
This is true.
It's
So,
actually like
I
a
know there, speaking of, having that time to self. So, I myself have been celibate for, I think I'm at month 16 now.
yeah.
And exactly everything that you said, like the clarity, the getting to know self, realizing triggers. But what I am noticing is there is somewhat of an open debate on Beyonce's internet about
Wait, for you it's
celibacy.
Beyonce's internet. For me, it's Jada's internet.
I'm weak. Yes. But I do see people have a back and forth about, that decision to abstain from sex and even placing stigmas and different
Mhm.
things on that. So when it comes to celibacy and having that self-awareness, that self-knowledge. I just wanted to hit on that a little bit because that time to self is very much needed, and it's so
Yeah.
healing, and you learn so much, not only about yourself and your sexuality, but you learn so many other facets of how it's affecting you in other places of your life.
So I'm okay. So this is like perfect because right around the time that you decided to go celibate, I was thinking too, like, I just got out of this relationship. I just been here, there, everywhere. I should probably be celibate. And that was actually not aligned for me. It didn't feel aligned for me to be abstaining because I felt like I had already gone through this period of knowing what it was that I wanted and who it was that I wanted to move towards being. So abstaining wasn't really what I needed to go into at the time. It was actually holding myself accountable and going into practice of conscious intimacy, if we can call it that, if nothing else, right? So, like Arthena, you learn these lessons, you know who you are. Are you going to hold yourself accountable to those lessons and apply them? So that's the benefit of being by yourself. It's like, okay, I didn't filter all through all these things. You know what I'm saying? I know what it is that I don't like. I have an idea of what it is that I do like. I just had an opportunity to sit and come back to neutral, right? And so now that I'm here at neutral, I can relearn what it is that my body likes. I can explore what it is that I really want. And so, like, when we were talking about coming and having this conversation, and people are like, oh, well, how do you navigate dating and being intimate without going into like a serious relationship and all these things? You have to know yourself. That's it, period. You have to really know yourself. And what I really recommend, if you're like in this unknown place where you one need to detox from just the trauma, you need to give yourself a fucking break. Like if that's a great reason to go into celibacy, is to have a break. Like, I don't mean it. I'ma just give it to you how it's on my spirit. You've been fucking nigga after nigga after nigga, and you just don't even know your own vagina because, guys, your vagina is gonna take the size of whatever, whomever is entering it. And for the guys, it's like you don't even know like what you just out here just stroking it, and it's good to just come and have some time for yourself. Okay, like I ain't even gonna preach it. It's like, just take my word for it. I'm pretty sure this is not the first time you've heard it. Take some time for yourself. And the benefit of that is like when you come and you have a understanding of who you are, right? Self-awareness is the name of the game. Then you can move accordingly. I know what it is that I want. I know what it is that I don't want. I'm gonna maintain these boundaries for myself. I know I just don't want a relationship, so I'm here for the D. Thank you very much. And I know, like, hey, Arthena, you gonna catch feelings for this type of person, and this ain't where you really want to go with it. So this maybe ain't the fuck buddy for you. No, I like you too much. I have to know that, and the only reason I
And you
know
have
that
to be
is because
honest
I
with
set a
yourself
bound
about
with
it.
myself. Yeah, to really like, and ain't nobody there to judge you but you when you by yourself.
Exactly. Now, it was something that you said that I do want to hit on because I know a lot of people. Um, it's some memes floating around that if if she says she's celibate or anything like that, it's because she's had a lot of partners. And I just want to stress that that's not true
That's not
for
true.
everybody. Everybody goes into it for different reasons. For me personally, my last relationship was really an eye opener to a lot of my triggers, a lot of my codependency issues, as well as I hadn't really figured out and held myself accountable for dating with a small child. So there are a lot of different reasons that people go into their celibacy or their abstinence journeys. And I'm going to snowball that into another question for you, Arthena. And this is one that came in from the poll that I did at the top of
Mhm.
Scorpio season. Just asking people what questions they had about sex, love, and intimacy, and navigating co-abstinence with a partner when both of you are choosing to abstain,
That's
and what are some different ways that couples who choose that route can learn how to be more intimate as well as pleasure each other.
Mm-hmm. I love that question. First of all, if you can find a person that's committed to abstaining with you, amen, 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 amen. Like, I love that. I love that. Like a person that you can get on one accord with on something, period, is just beautiful, right? Okay, so let me think real fast. I maybe could come up with three things off the top of the head. Eye gazing. I'm gonna always come back to that because it's the most uncomfortable thing you could do. You ain't never gonna hear me stop talking about eye gazing. You'll
Look,
never
I gotta
hear me.
write it down.
Listen, you'll never hear me stop talking about eye gazing because what it does is it gives you an opportunity to communicate with no words. And if you don't understand, just do it. You could do it by yourself, looking in the mirror. You could agree to what was the word? Go into co-celibacy with yourself and do some mirror work and eye gaze in the mirror, right? That's the thing. I would also go into like there's you can have non-physical orgasm. And so that's like where you're just kind of like playing with each other's energetic bodies. So you could like kind of like feel some like when something's like right up under your neck and ain't nothing really
Mm-hmm.
that's a thing, y'all. So like you can make it really super beautiful. You can have like a make it a date. You can put some blindfolds on and play with each other's energetic bodies and you know what I'm saying, feeding each other fruit and stuff like that. And then of course going into massage. Tantric massage is a thing. And it's just another word for saying sacred touch. And because you guys are in this situation where you're abstaining, this will be a really great opportunity for you to discover what each other likes. And so actually I was telling you about this. I want to have this thing where we go and explore this together, but just figuring out each other's erogenous zones and just sitting, maybe have like some props, some different textures, some different liquids and stuff like that, consistencies, and just start playing with each other's body. Like, do you like it here? Oh, you don't like it there? Okay, noted. Okay, so do you like it when I take you here with this? Okay, so when we start fucking, I'm coming from that spot right there. You feel me? And then that way you guys can develop that closeness and intimacy without having to go into sex.
Love it, love it, love it. So, what are some tips, or like, even before we get into it, tips, can you give everybody a generalized definition of Tantra and Tantric practices?
Yeah, so Tantra has a very bad rep. Um, and I use it for lack of a better understanding because I came into consciousness through Tantra, and we're calling it consciousness because we don't have no other language, right? I'm sure we could figure it out, but like when I started to elevate in my human experience, it was through tantric practices. And basically, what Tantra is a group of practices that help you integrate back into the body. So that could be meditation, yoga, and it is centered around intimacy. Intimacy is connection from person to person or self to self. And so, unfortunately, when that practice has come to the West, because it's a lot of white people and they do a lot of things. That's my own personal opinion. Don't hold me to it. Okay. So when it came over here to the West, it got really perverted, and it just don't laugh at me. It got really perverted, and so people associate tantra. They hear it, the first thing that comes to their mind is an orgy of white people having sex. That could be a portion of it if that's where it leads you, but it's really about spirituality, connecting back to the body, connecting back to God through the body, and connecting to other people through the body. Sexuality, when we talk about sexuality, it's stimulation or eroticism pertaining or according to your genitalia. So that's what sex is. Your sex is determined at your birth. And all that says is this is, it gives you a starting place to say that based on your body type, this is probably more than likely how you would enjoy being stimulated. That's the sexuality portion. So like we get caught up in all these terms and have all this imagination around it. But at the very foundation, all we talking about is how to connect back to our bodies because we know where we came from. and that's from God. So if we can get closer to ourselves, we can get that much more closer to God. And furthermore, it says that when two or more are gathered amongst you, here I am in your presence. So baby, guess what? If you can connect to your God, I can connect to my God, and then we come together, then what's stopping us? Wait. I can't hear you. What happened?
I'm sorry, I was muted. So I love that because there very much so is a stigma of perversion around tantra, and people really just associate it with, physical sex, but it's so much more deeper than that, and it is a sacred practice, and again, it is another tool that we use to become more self-aware and also connect back to source. So I love that you brought that up. Now, this is a question that I see a lot for women, and it is just speaking to why is it a lot of women who feel that they cannot orgasm or that they've never had an orgasm. And before you even answer, I personally feel it's because of all the different things we've been talking about already on this live, and having that disconnection from self, and not knowing what it is that they like, what it is that they really find pleasurable, where their erogenous zones are. It's just a lack of knowledge within self, is really what it seems to me. And I had shared, for those of you who caught the live yesterday, thank you for tuning in. But I had shared with them, the reason that I chose the topic of sex for Scorpio season is not just because Scorpio rules the genitalia and transformation, but it's also because what I see is most of us, when it comes to these um, imbalances or blockages in our chakra systems, they're in the root and the solar plexus, as well as the sacral, but really that sacral and that root chakra, and it has a lot to do around, not just sexual trauma, but traumas in our foundation and a lot of inner child healing. So while we getting deep into the topic of sex and orgasms, we really don't realize how those problems are directly correlated with other things that we're ignoring in our life.
So you just said a lot right now. I said all of that because that was good. So basically, what she's saying is that we have these energy access points. For those of you who don't know what chakras are, that's just like a point where energy is moving through your body. And when those lower chakras are blocked, which means that you're either like not expressing your anger, you feel me? You are not expressing your creativity, you are not connected with your pleasure, or you are not feeling safe, right? All of those things show up in the body and it's stored there. We have a muscle memory. And so, guess what? Your body is going to remember the trauma also. And so, that's like why I really love offering body work, because that helps to align and remove some of those blockages. Now, when we're answering the question why some women aren't able to orgasm or feel pleasure in that way, one is because the body doesn't trust you. The body doesn't have enough trust for it to open up. And we get this whole like back and forth. Men, they burn fast and they extinguish fast. Okay. It takes a minute for a woman to build up. It's gonna take her a minute for her to come back down. And it's important. We can try to ask why. But if you want to just have a good nut, you're just gonna accept it for what it is. And that is what it is. So a lot of the times women aren't not given the amount of time for their body to actually open up and get to the good stuff. You want to know how long it takes, how many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Then, hey, take your time.
Okay.
Take your time. And I'm going to tell you, don't just lick it slow. That's all that's all I'm going to say. So that's one thing, is having trust. Now I'm going to blow your mind with this one. Sex is the stimulation of the genitals. The female genital is her clitoris. So a lot of the times people go straight into penetrative sex, which actually is just a man masturbating inside of the canal to the womb.
Being a life size blow up doll.
And that's just what it is. You're not being stimulated appropriately, and that's why the things that you would expect to happen when you have sex is not happening, because baby, guess what? You're actually not having sex. So that means that and everybody is the same. Like for me, like, you know, your collection of nerves is going to be in a different situation. It takes, for one, for you to have figured that out for your damn self so that you can just share that with the person instead of y'all having to go on a magic treasure hunt together. That's really like a thing. You can consider that. And then also it's just like taking your time and knowing, like, you can, if you really like take the time to align your energy, you can know, when you can sense when a person is going to give you the adequate amount of time to reach your pleasure. And really, when you own your sex, it's just a person there experiencing your pleasure, because you got your own, you can handle it. So I would imagine that a lot of women are not able to experience orgasm. One, from my experience, is because they don't feel safe, they're ashamed, because of the way niggas be talking, you know, on the internet and all these other things. And then you just ain't, you're not stimulating the right things at all.
Mm-hmm. Love it, love it, love it. Own your sex. I love that because I feel like, especially for women, so many of us do not. Um, we and I'm including myself in there because that's something that I had to learn about myself. But being in that motherly, nurturing, feminine energy, and just being so concerned about catering to our partners and forgetting about ourselves. So I really feel like it's a it's somewhat of an innocence to it. Um, but it definitely got a chokehold on
Yeah,
us.
and you have to speak up, because, like, I'm gonna give it to you real. It's like, it don't even be like sometimes that the sex is bad or that your partner is like inconsiderate. It's just that you're not saying anything and they don't know. They have no idea. And so, you know, the sex will be really good, you know what I'm saying, y'all? And then they come, and then all of a sudden you're like overcome with like this dissatisfaction, even though the whole 15 minutes was bomb. It's like, oh, it's over, and now I feel away. And it's because you didn't really like speak your piece and let homie know what the deal was.
Hmm. So, starting to kind of wrap this up, how would you, well, not, let me rephrase that. What advice would you give people to be more intentional about their sexual escapades?
Okay. What advice would I give to be more intentional about the sneaky? I would really say just know what it is that you want, know what it is that you don't want, and maneuver accordingly. Like, you have to know. You have to know. So whereas it's like, I might want to just hit up a homeboy because I want to be in some, you know, male energy. Also, I got to know that the nigga probably gonna want to fuck after. So, like, if I'm gonna go, me owning my sex means that either I'm gonna like communicate openly that it ain't going down. I'm gonna leave at a certain time. You feel me? And maneuver according to that. So if you just wanna, like I said, you just want to have sex with somebody, let them know that up front. And then also hold yourself accountable to that as well. Because that's how these situationships and things start happening. Or if you know, I don't know, that you like to have sex on the first night, um, don't have no shame in it. Like, that's what you want to do? Hey, we going. And own that, so that way when you maneuver into those situations, you don't, you can fully experience it and be in the moment because you're doing what it is that you want to do, period. So that, to me, it always comes back down to the self-awareness and just maneuvering according to it is that you are. Understand that you got to put in that work to figure out who it is that you are, for sure.
Yes. So I'm just gonna add to that because yes, to all of that. Um, when it comes to letting go of that shame, like y'all, if y'all have not paid attention to the stuff that I have been posting all month, like it's been all over the board from, intimacy and relationships to being single, sacred whore, whatever you identify is, whether you're a sex worker or you are modest.
I like the video when the homie came and put the towel down. That
Yes,
was
yes, yeah. He said, "Madam, you said." Like, whatever it is that you're into, whatever it is that you are open to, embrace that. Let go of the shame, let go of what people would think, let go of whatever taboo stigma you have picked up from society, your family, your friends, or even yourself. And just embrace that, because when we embrace our sensual desires, we broke down the etymology of sensuality and sexuality last night, so y'all want to go check that live from last night. But it's getting into the animalistic nature of human, which is our desires, our passions, as it is, and really take that and run with it. You will be surprised how many other areas of your life you are willing to start going for stuff, asserting yourself, because you learn to speak up about what it is that pleasures you or what it is that you want. When you make those changes in how you allow yourself to be vulnerable with yourself, with your partner, with other people, when you learn the tools to truly be intimate with yourself and other people, the growth, it's the growth for me.
for me.
Like, it carries over into so many areas of your life, whether it be your home, your work, your friendships, your whatever.
That's really how you attract the right type of people. Like when you
Yes.
tell the truth, it's like people have to decide either I fuck with you or I don't. That's the only option that you have after I tell you exactly who I am. Either you accept it, amen, or you don't, amen, and keep it pushing.
And that's the other thing. We have to be able to be our authentic selves, and so we can see who will accept us for us, who's for us and who's not. And this full moon, y'all, we got to let go of trying to force connections, force situations, force friendships, force jobs. Stop trying to make yourself a damn Jenga piece to fit in a puzzle that wasn't made for you.
I love that.
We do all this bending and contorting to fit in, and it's like, just be. We get so caught up in this stuff, and I've loved this conversation with you, sis.
This
Like,
was
this, though,
good.
we definitely gonna have to do this again. But intimacy is so much deeper than the physical. Sex itself is so much deeper than the physical. Your sensuality, how you express yourself, is so much deeper than your five senses.
Agreed. Agreed.
So, if you guys have not already, you can visit Artheena at heartofmalele.com right there at the bottom of your screen. And feel free to follow her on Instagram as well. She does a lot of lives. Some of the things we talked about in this live, I know she's working on, and I can't wait for her to launch them,
Thank
because it's
you.
going to be great for you guys when it comes to learning more about what is a pleasurable experience for you. I thank everyone for coming, everybody that tuned in. This is going to be posted for those of you who are watching the playback. Feel free to follow us when you see this, drop a comment, let us know, reach out to either one of us with questions. And tomorrow night, we going even deeper on the
No,
topic of sex, and Jay, the loveologist, is going to be joining me, who is, sis got PhDs and bachelors, and she is official and professional when it comes to sex education. She's a sex educator, a sex counselor,
I love that.
and I can't wait for the conversation with her as well. I'm thankful for both of these ladies for agreeing to come on here, and I love y'all. I've known both of y'all for quite some time and built different relationships with the both of you. So I'm just so thankful, to be able to be in a space to continue to grow with you as well as your businesses.
I'm really proud of you.
Oh, thank you, baby.
Yeah, I'm glad you're hosting the series. It's a good topic.
Yes. So, do you have anything to add before we end this, sis?
This was good. They got me a little.
Yes, yes. We're gonna have to cook up something else now.
Okay, I'm down for sure.
All right. Well, I will text you later.
Okay,
And I will see all of y'all later. And thank you so much for watching. Peace.
peace.